Welcome, 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 beautiful, luminous souls.
Desire in our lifetime.
I am just going to pull.
We're choosing to be the creators of our reality.
That's another masterclass up on my feed. I want to have this up so I can see your questions and your comments live. And no matter how much I put the volume down on my phone, before I go live, it always will come back on. So I'm just going to take a breath to land here and now. After that excitement, my phone fell off the holder. It was wild. Here we are, day 2. And I am going to admit that I was so excited about coming on and sharing the vibes with you today that as I was walking back from getting my phone from the kitchen, I did the most ridiculous happy dance. I was just like, woo! And I was like, oh, I am grateful I'm not live right now, but my soul was just literally so excited to share this energy this morning instead of working. Or going to the gym, I had to sit and receive massive upgrades, activations, heart space expansions, and all kinds of really fun things, including some pieces of the activation that I'm going to take you on today. So welcome, Catherine, Carla, Nicole, Sarah, all of the beautiful beings watching on the replay or live here in the Zoom room with me. So many different ways that we can connect. Hi, Jade, as well. I'm so grateful that we're here together. So we've been talking about the luminous evolution that is basically the process that we are all individually and collectively going through right now. It's this evolutionary alchemy that literally is happening to us whether we like it or not. And in day 1, we spoke of how we had 2 choices. Either we can consciously direct some of the energy, the light that's streaming in, open to receive it, let it illuminate what's ready to be transformed, and support ourselves in creating the connections so that we can step into our next level of expansion. We can do that all consciously, or it can happen for us in a way that is beyond our control, where we are resisting it. And neither way is better or worse or good or bad. It's part of the soul's journey. But I just know from my personal experience that when I resist change, when I try to ignore what is happening for me and fall into the trap of thinking it's happening to me, I do not enjoy my life very much. I do not enjoy the experience. And when I allow myself to remember that all of this light, this intensity, this transformation, this transmutation is happening for me, even when it seems highly inconvenient, intense, overwhelming at times, when I remember it's happening for me, and that at the highest levels, I am choosing this for my growth and evolution, I actually have this capacity to enjoy the ride a little bit more. In fact, a lot more. And when we allow ourselves to go through the process that we're undergoing, this alchemical process consciously and with that awareness, it can even be fun sometimes. And it gets to be fun if we allow ourselves to work with the energies in a way that lets our imaginations free. That's another thing that we resist. Our imagination, because we have been told that it's worthless, right? We've been told our imagination is less than our logical mind, right? We've been told our intuition is less than the mental, logical, rational realms by culture, and maybe by people in our lives. And we're going through this whole process of reconnecting with the super consciousness, with our higher selves, with the all that is, and moving out of the separation into the connection, into the field of abundant connection to the all that is. And with that comes our amplified intuition and proper use of our imagination. So I would love to explore the imagination more today, as well as our intuition. I think I said this a few times yesterday. The imagination is the gateway to the multi-dimensional realm. So I would love to check in first before we dive into the imagination and the intuition, and just get a general sense. If you're with me here live, how are you feeling? Any ahas after yesterday? Anything come through for you about the evolutionary alchemy process we went through? I would love to hear and for people to comment either in the replay or live any ahas, any activations, upgrades. How did it go? So, and welcoming all the people that are just popping on with us now live, trying a different time out. So happy to have you here. So after yesterday, I felt incredibly expansive and aligned, since we did just a little bit of an activation, connecting ourselves to the earth, to our highest self, and also planting those 3 golden seeds. Now, if you haven't gone through the activation from yesterday, I welcome you to go back and catch the replay. You can do that after watching this if you feel like that would be supportive to you. But did anyone have any sproutings of the golden seeds? Anything that came through for you? It did for me. And I am going to, as I said, take you onto a deeper activation into the multidimensional and imaginal realms, an adventure today. And it's going to be based upon an activation that happened very spontaneously for me today. We're also going to be talking a little bit more about expanding our intuition, how we can step into that. And we'll do a few exercises, and I'll give you a few of the things that have really supported me and my clients in being able to expand the intuition, expand the capacity to tap into the multidimensional and actually begin to process the light codes that are coming in. All of this light, which we'll remember from yesterday, is information plus love, right? Now, before I go into that, I want to share that not every light code, not every bit of information that's coming through from the cosmic realms or being emitted from someone's heart, from the earth, being shared as light language, spoken, sung, or anything like that, is going to have a literal translation. Oftentimes, it's something really more to be experienced without the mind needing to analyze and interpret. Sometimes it is to clear out energy, right? To transform energy, to illuminate what's ready to be transformed. Sometimes it's to activate something new, and the activation can be very subtle, and it can be along the lines of planting a seed that might not sprout for a while, that might need the right conditions to sprout, right? Or it could be something that we are able to fully interpret with our intuition, our psychic senses. So I have Nicole here saying, yesterday felt really expansive, felt in a contracted or integration state today, but supported myself to just be, feeling more connected now and looking forward to the activation today. Oh my goodness, me too. So thank you for bringing that up. I just kicked over my footstool. Oh my goodness, lots of energy. So sometimes after big activations, big expansions, we do need integration time, right? So be gentle with yourself after we go through this and listen to your body You can do that exercise of asking, what do I need in this moment? What would be the most loving thing for me? And it might be drinking water. It might be eating nourishing food. It might be a nap. It might be more time in meditation, journaling, dancing, sweating, having a conversation with a loved one, hanging out with a fluffy animal, whatever feels good for you. If anything tells me to go out for a walk, though, I'm going to go to the gym because it is currently snowing where Nicole and I, and probably some of you are. And I love the elements and I love winter and I love all of that. And yet it is chilly and I'm wrapped up in a sweater and I'm going to have a hot cacao or cocoa after this because I'm feeling the chilliness. So that's an example of working with the energy and what your intuition might be telling you, even if it feels a little inconvenient. You can use the tools of like your mind level, and if it's saying go for a walk and you assume, oh my gosh, that means outside, it means in the trees, it means having to do something that I really don't want to do. Well, is there something else? Is there a compromise that you could use to take your intuition and that message that you're receiving and really make it more palatable for the human form, for the ego that wants to keep us safe and comfy? So take a deep breath in. How many of you watching this right now would consider yourself intuitive? Perhaps you'd use a word like highly sensitive, an empath, maybe a psychic. Let me know if this journey into expanding your intuition is something that you've been on for a while. Just type into the comments and you can say me, or you can share a label that you identify with. I know a lot of people call themselves that highly sensitive person or an empath or a clairvoyant, a multidimensional. There's never the perfect words for these very etheric concepts. So whatever feels good for you as a label, if you're choosing to use one. Nicole's saying, I feel like I'm intuitive. Yeah. Now, I would love to share something that not everybody knows. If you already know this deeply, I invite you to listen with your heart and a beginner's mind to see what kind of coding you can pick up, even as a teacher explaining it to someone else. But all of these psychic and intuitive senses that people say they want to turn on or expand, I think they fall into two categories. One is just the regular senses that you have, but tuned into the subtle realms. And then also the ones that, well, maybe it's one category and then the interpretation method is the imagination and how it ties it all together for the very purposes of integration and understanding. Right? So I actually would go so far as to say your imagination is also one of your psychic senses, just as your feeling is. Your touch, your taste, your vision, your hearing, your knowing. When we're using our intuition, it's often put with like a clair in front of them. Clairsentience is this clear feeling. Now you might get that when you hear something with your ears, not your like clairaudient senses, but you hear something and it just feels right. It feels like truth. And so you get a chill or you get goosebumps or you feel hot or cold. Let me know if you've ever felt intuition in your body. That's with clairsentience. We have claircognizance, which has always been one of my most, strongest intuitive senses. And that means clear knowing. The thing is, I didn't know that I knew I didn't know what it was. And that's the one that got me into the most trouble. Let me know if you'd like me to share how it would get me into trouble, because it's, I think, a little funny. But I didn't know that other people didn't have information just like downloaded into their head. And for me, it really felt like a download. Like I was a computer and the information was just transported, and suddenly I would just know. I didn't realize that everybody also didn't have this experience. Let me know if you've ever just known something without knowing how or why. Now, this can also be related to clairsentience in like a gut feeling, right? When we're talking about our intuition and wanting to expand it, I want to invite you to take this premise. We can talk about things in separate categories, but we are very multidimensional creatures. And as we expand into our multidimensionality, it becomes almost this like synesthesia where, the greatest example is you can smell the sounds, but really more it's like the overlapping of all of these subtle senses together. And so, that feeling in your body, that gut feeling, that clairsentient feeling, you might just know why it is. Like, oh, don't go down that alley, right? We also can have clairvoyance, and people think of that in terms of the like psychic senses and visions that might appear in front of the open eyes. And that often happens, but also it's inside your mind's eye. There are a variety of levels of ability to see inside your mind's eye. And for some people, it's a very strong sense. For others, it's almost non-existent. There are people who don't have a mind's eye sight, and that is a condition called aphantasia, where you can't see. And people who have this would think that when people said that they would see something in their mind, that it was a metaphor, as opposed to a real thing, because it just wasn't available for them. So let me tell you, if you have trouble with seeing things in your mind, there's a few things that you can do. Number one is we can practice and make things clearer and sharper, because it's like a muscle. But also we can come into a place of acceptance that it might be there for good reason. Sometimes people block it because they've had a frightening experience in childhood. Sometimes people will block it because they were seeing ghosts and astral beings and all kinds of things, and that freaked them out. So they were like, nope, shut it down. Then you have to pry your mind's eye back open again. Let me know if you can resonate with that, if perhaps you were more able to see things and you either shut it down, or when you were very little, your authority figures told you that it was just your imagination. When we're little, we have this thing where our senses are really wide open. Some people will say it's almost like kids are like tripping out all the time. They can see and feel so much because they haven't yet really pruned down all of the neural connections to all of their different senses. And it can be difficult to sort out the experience. So they look to the authority figures in their life for consensus reality. So if a child goes, oh my gosh, what's that? And they're seeing, energy that perhaps the adult cannot see, is not tapped into multidimensionally to see, and the adult goes, what are you talking about? There's nothing there. Instead of indulging the kid and go, oh, I'm not sure, what do you see? That child will have an experience of going, oh, my guide in this reality doesn't see that, so obviously it must not be important, and they will just shut down that multidimensional awareness as they're coming into their humanity. Our kids and we as children look to the people around us to go, what is real? What is important? What is pulling information through that's necessary and what is just extra information that I don't need to know. Because the human brain is a filter machine and it decides what's important and what's not important based upon the consensus reality, right? We also have this ingrained in us culturally. What is that? Oh, it's not important. Okay, I'm going to ignore it then. If we had to process all of reality all of the time, it would be overwhelming. So we shut that down. Or it is shut down because we are told that is just the imagination. Let me know if you have ever felt something, heard something, seen something, and other people have told you it's just your imagination. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced that. There are other people who have that clairaudience, and that means clear hearing. You can also have clear tasting and clear smelling, by the way, clairalience and clairgustance. And some people assume that clairaudience needs to be with like a voice that sounds exactly as though someone's in the room with you, where it's like coming from outside. But I also believe that clairaudience can be more like, instead of the mind's eye, the mind's ear. And you just know that it's not your voice. So we've had some people say that they have had this experience of being told that they are imagining it. So the imagination gets placed as less than what the rational, logical, and very physical five senses can experience. Now, what if, and this is what I experience personally, your imagination is actually part of the interpretation system for the multidimensional, because it is etheric and we don't have any other way of really interpreting these senses. The imagination is the gateway to accessing the more subtle realms. And there is, of course, fantasy that's just literally your brain making something up. And I could get really crazy with this and talk about that. That's also just like other dimensional realms in the infinite multiverse that you can tap into. But the imagination is the translation machine for you to be able to tap into that non-physical, the energetic, the subtle, the etheric, the extra dimensional. So I want us today to give ourselves permission to let our imagination start to come forward and be honored as a potential translation of what is out there that is non-physical, that we are sensing, and that we have to bring through into our mind and our cognition somehow, right? So we're going to do a few exercises to give you an idea of what that means, right? And what that can look like. But we have some people saying they've been told they have an overactive imagination. Yes, and also clairaudience is my strongest, and then clairsmelling. Amazing. Clairalience is your second, Nadine. Aliana, my clairaudience usually sounds like I thought, but I know it's not my thought. Like my thought, but it's not my thought. Yes, exactly. And there's a feeling to that, right? There's also a knowing to that. So oftentimes, like I'm saying, people expect it to be just one sense, but when we're in this physical world, we don't usually have just one sense happening at a time. They work together, they work multidimensionally, they work in concert, and so do our psychic abilities and our intuition. And so bringing our ability to expand it into the forefront includes allowing all of those senses to come together, to work together, the feeling, the hearing, the knowing, the visioning, the smelling, the tasting, the sensing, and the imagination. This is the next level evolution and expansion of intuition, is not just assuming anything anymore, by the way, as well. If you're like, I don't see anything, the belief that you don't could be the only thing that's holding you back from understanding that actually you are, but maybe you're seeing it in a different way than you expect. Right now, the veil is thinner, the light is coming in so strongly that there is so much opportunity to step into this next level of experiencing in a multidimensional way your intuition at this next level. And the key is imagination, letting it be the filter, and trusting self, and letting go of those preconceived notions of what it might be supposed to look, see, sound, smell like. So like I said, we're going to play with this in the activation. But I want to give you an example of how subtle this can be. If you are in a space where you can close your eyes and take just a deep breath in with me to really drop into the body, please do so now. If you can't close your eyes because you're listening, you're driving, you're doing something, that's okay. But breathing in through your nose, really fill up your root and bring that air all the way up into your heart, and just sigh it out. Beautiful. Now you can keep your eyes closed for this, or you can do it with your eyes open if you must, but I want you to take, my creation coaches, you've done this with me before, some of you, I want you to take your hand, and I want you to take one fingertip and caress your palm really, really gently. So it almost like tingles. And now I want you to, with your eyes closed or open, imagine what that feels like. With your imagination, can you feel yourself touching your hand, even if it doesn't feel like what your finger felt like? If you feel anything at all, warm, hot, cold, tingly, with your imagination, let me know. Type it into the chat box, live or on the replay, and say, yeah, I could feel it, right? My imagination could feel it. I'm gonna have some water. You can play with this, by the way, while we're talking, while I'm waiting to see if I was the only one that could feel that or not. And you can try with your other hand. You could try some other parts of your body. You could try like blowing on your hand and then imagining it. Okay, got a few people going like tinglish, tickly. I can feel the energy, feels tingly. Amazing. So first off, that is one of the gateways into sensing the etheric and subtle energies. Those very, very subtle sensations that you could write off as being your imagination, or if you were very busy, you wouldn't notice, right? If you were listening to a podcast while you were doing the dishes, while you're doing stuff, would you have noticed that? Tell me if you would have noticed something so subtle if there was a lot of other sensory input. I know I probably wouldn't, right? Because it's that subtle. So I'm going to tell you two things and let me know if they blow your mind or if you're like, yeah, I already knew that. So number one is we need to carve out space in quiet stillness to have these experiences with the subtle realms and energies. If we are constantly receiving input of other senses, we will never have a chance to pick up the subtle senses. Okay? Nadine's saying, when I let my finger hover over instead of touching, I felt like it was swirling energy or something. It felt thick, but you wouldn't notice it if you were doing other things. Yeah. Okay, that is why concentrated, devoted time in stillness, in quiet, whether that's in meditation or contemplation or just presence, or going on guided journeys, like times where you are immersed in it on purpose and there's nothing else that you're supposed to be doing, that's when you expand. That's when you practice. That's when you get good at it and you start to pick it up. And by the way, the things that seem subtle at first can become very, very clear when you practice, because it's like the muscle of discernment, right? Here's the second thing that I hope blows some people's minds. It was not your imagination only that was doing that. It was your imagination, which was actually working your mind to move the energy around you etherically. It could have been your etheric hands. It could have just been the energetic forces that you were directing. But you were not just imagining it, it was really actually happening. Your imagination was both the cause and the interpretation of this. You have the capacity, every human does, to move energy around with your mind, okay? With simply your intention. This is not commonly accepted, but more and more and more so. And I have seen studies of Harvard-trained scientists who have been proving that like energy actually does stuff that we can control with our mind. And as we tap into quantum physics and all of these things, we are coming back to this understanding that the mystical and the magical is explainable in the practical, in the physical, but we're only starting to be able to explain and understand the intersection of consciousness and energy and all of that. That the mystics and the mages and the Vedic texts and the other things have known for eons, okay? So you were, with your imagination, the cause of the effect as well as interpreting it. Let me know if there is a soul resonance yes for you where you're like, oh yeah. And what I'm saying, I'm like, I hope this blows your mind, unless you know it already. If you don't believe me, that's okay. You don't have to take my word for it. You can go and explore and ask the universe for proof, evidence, more of this to experience it. And if you open to it, you're gonna start to have experiences. So when we are doing things like activations, meditations, when I get to be a guide, what I am doing is reading the energy that exists out there already, that I am working with. I am using my imagination to both interpret and then work with the energy to support people or myself or what have you. So I would love for us to go deeper, for us to experience an activation here. If you are feeling like you would like to play a little deeper and go on a journey with me, say, yes, I'm ready. Type it in, so I have your consent. If you have to come back to a deeper journey because you're watching this where you're not able to go within and close your eyes, come back. That's totally okay. And as I'm waiting just for these readies to make sure that everybody is ready to go, let me know if you have any questions first. I'm happy to answer them. And get comfy. I feel like I need to like sit back and get ready for this. It's gonna be fun. And my hair, I pulled it back, but it got a little fuzzy from the snow melting in it, the rain. So I'm like, ooh, as it's drying, it's getting fuzzier. All right, people are ready. So let us have full permission here to allow our imagination to be just that, to be an interpreter, and to give ourselves permission for it to be true in this moment, in this now. Can't harm you in any way, just to assume that you are actually experiencing these things. So instead of writing it off, go deeper. Let yourself go deeper with the imagination. I'm going to get you to close your eyes if you're able to. Maybe have some water first. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. Beautiful. This time breathing in through your nose, filling up your root and your belly. And blow that candle out slowly through your mouth. Very long, slow exhale. Breathe into your root and your belly and then bring it up to your heart space. Blow the candle out slowly once more. And finally, breathe from your root into your heart space. Bring it all the way up to your crown. And blow that candle out one more time slowly. This time as you breathe, bring the energy with your imagination right up from the root, all the way up your central column, through your heart, all the way up through your throat, through your crown, out through the top of your head, into your energy field. Hold it for a moment and then sigh it out. Beautiful. And from this space here, we're going to call in sacred space and ask to have a little pocket, a little bubble. I should say pocket and bubble at the same time. A pubble. We are in a pubble together. It's a new thing. Upgrades, friends. A bubble and pocket where we can meet in the 0 point now, whether you are live or on the replay. This is a space for activation. We ask for the light to illuminate anything that's ready to be cleared out that's in our highest and best good. We ask that it is transformed with ease and grace, and that whatever is ready to be activated within us is activated in to the highest level that our human body can handle, but also with the ease that is going to allow it to integrate effortlessly. We also ask that we receive what we are able to hold and carry in our bodies, minds, hearts, and souls for the highest good of not only ourselves, but for all of humanity. And I ask that in this space, everyone receives physical, tangible, visceral experiences that they will interpret with their body, with their knowing, and with any and all other senses that come through their imagination. Beautiful. So calling in all of our multidimensional selves that are of the highest vibrational frequency to create a ring, a bubble around us, to send us the light codes and the information that we require right now to amplify our ability to shine our own unique soul light more brightly. Breathe here. If you're feeling an amplification of the intensity of the energy, just breathe. Beautiful. And now we are going to go on a deepening of the journey that we went on yesterday, where we planted those 3 golden seeds. They prepared us to go deeper and receive more. So I want to take us down to the earth's core, using your imagination. Instead of dropping a rope down, this time I want you to imagine roots are coming out through the bottoms of your feet. And they go down, these etheric roots that you are imagining, whether you see them or you feel them or you just know and you command it to be so, let them go down through the building you're in, through the rocks, deeper into the soil, and they spread outward and down, deeper and deeper, traveling miles and miles through the earth, through the mantle towards the core. And as they reach the core of the planet, you might notice in your imagination that there is this beautiful core that is made of liquid. And perhaps at the center, you could see, feel, dream, imagine the iron core, the very center. But I'm going to invite you to just trust that you can do this with your imagination. Flip your consciousness to a higher dimensional frequency where you can connect with the crystalline core and the cave of creation. I was asked to bring you here, or return some of you here. Many of you have been here before, whether with me, whether on your own or in dream time. This crystal cave, I want you to imagine in any way that you would normally imagine a scene. It looks almost like the Fortress of Solitude in Superman, but instead of ice crystals, it's quartz. And some of you might be feeling a zinging energy in your body, almost a ringing. You might be feeling a frequency when you tap in that feels energetic, uplifting, exciting. You might see it. You might just be dreaming and imagining it any way that your mind likes to imagine something. And let the details be filled in by your imagination. In my space, there's a lot of bright whiteness, but there's also this feeling, this sensation that feels almost like electricity, this frequency that's being emitted that starts to pulse, and my body begins to pulse in unison with it. Beautiful. This pulsing energy may begin to expand your field. This is the cave of creation where each person has a beautiful crystal that contains within it all of the information and coding from every life that you have had, past, present, and future. And I am inviting you now to walk to this crystal. It is drawing you to it. And you might see it, you might feel it, you might imagine a color or a shape. But feel that it is drawing you in through the heart. The frequency feels familiar, like home, but so much more. And you place your hands upon this crystal. Some of you have to reach up, some of you reach out, some of you reach down. So you might want to actually take your physical hands and place them out in front of you, imagining you are holding and touching this crystal. Imagine the temperature of the crystal against your skin, against your fingertips. Imagine the sensation. Imagine if it felt electric or if it felt like something else. Is there an energy transfer that's already occurring that you can bring your awareness to? Beautiful. Some of you are already noticing this crystal is actually moving codes, energy, light, information from its core through your fingertips, which may begin to tingle. Perhaps your hands do as well. Through your hands, up your arms, up through your shoulders and into your heart. And as soon as it hits your heart, this light, this coding, is immediately transported out through your vascular system, which you might see or feel branching through every part of your body, through the veins, the arteries, all the way down through your trunk, up your neck, into your head. Ooh, and feeling it move through your arms and legs, and then down into those smaller capillaries, into the fingers, the toes, Every cell of your body is going to receive this information. Beautiful. Let us set the intention now that the information that you are receiving from this crystal codex is, again, for your highest and best good. And it will be put inside of you in a way that your human can integrate. We are pulling through the lessons, the wisdom, the experiences that will serve you best where you are now, with full trust that it is going to support you in expanding your light and your ability to navigate this life with resilience and compassion and love and some fun and joy. And I want you to think now of one quality that you would really like more of. And I want you to ask your crystal to share with you the coding for this experience. Just ask, and ye shall receive. Feel it move from the crystal through your fingertips, all the way through and into your heart, where it is then expanded into your cardiovascular system. Beautiful. Beautiful. Giving gratitude to yourself for being here right now, for receiving the upgrades and the codes and the information and the wisdom that you require. Take a moment to receive anything else that feels like it would be supportive to you, visions, dreams, imaginings, sensations. And breathe. Beautiful. Now I want you to imagine your heart beginning to shine, emitting a light that gets brighter and brighter. And this light, so beautiful in its sensation, it's not pure white. It feels like it's got flecks of diamond, silver, platinum, gold, and iridescent energy. And it begins to expand through your chest, through your arms and legs, fingers and toes, head and neck, and into your energy field here. This light expands once more. It may fill your field of vision, or perhaps just feel the tingly, feel the temperature. Set the intention. Use your imagination to let it expand out even more. And I want you to pull your consciousness with gratitude from that crystal cave all the way up to land in your heart space, in your body, if your intention and awareness was split. And I want you to feel, see, dream, imagine, maybe even hear the light emitting from your heart into your body and into the field around you, exactly where you are right now. Imagine it growing bigger and brighter. Beautiful. What I'm going to invite you to do now is imagine inside your heart is a portal or a doorway. And it is going to be your choice whether you choose to walk through this portal or doorway today or later, whenever feels right. And when you do, and you step through, you are going to receive a gift. And this gift will be for your highest good. You may see it, dream it, visualize it, imagine it if it happens. Or you might just know that another seed is being planted for the exact right time you need. If you imagine this doorway, let your body decide, would you like to go through? If yes, proceed. And if not, just allow yourself to stay in the space that you're at right now, knowing you can walk through that doorway at any time. If you walk through this doorway, notice where you are, what it feels like. Imagine it and trust. And then just check in. How will you receive this gift? Take a moment here to receive. Deep breath in. Set the intention to take this gift and place it in your heart space, whether you could see it, whether you knew what it was, or whether it just felt like a sensation of feeling. And literally take your hands and swoop them with the gift into your heart and breathe in. And if you decided not to walk through that door today, know that you can return anytime when you're ready. I want you to all set your breath here one last time. Breathing in and sighing it out. Letting everything settle. Set the intention to integrate, digest, and receive at the level that is perfectly conducive to your human form, to have the upgrades and the gifts and all that is for you in its most perfect divine time. Give yourself a hug, thanking the earth and all those that were holding the space. Blink your eyes open, stretch, have some water. Ooh, I just tried to swallow too much water all at once. I was like, water. And let me know by typing into the chat box. You are back. Give me a word or two. Feel free to share whatever wants to be light grounded, to take it from the imaginal, multidimensional realms into this physical. We can speak it out loud. We can write it down. We can write it in the chat box. I want to invite you to take some time after this to do some journaling today. And also, I am going to make a post in the Luminous Evolution group. And anyone who shares what it felt like, maybe a little bit, whether they chose to walk through the door or not, and if you feel like sharing what your gift was, you will be entered to win a free course called Next Fucking Level Manifestation, a self-study course that I did last year that went on some pretty epic journeys. It expanded intuition, planted a whole lot of seeds for creation. So I will make that post in the group. And if you would like to enter to win, the draw is going to be for that on I'm going to say the 26th of April. So Nadine's feeling sparkly. Anyone else? I mean, whew, I felt luminous. That was the point of this whole thing, luminous. And when I opened that gateway, that portal, that door, and I walked through, there was a beautiful like treasure chest for me. And then I put the treasure chest on, or like the stuff that was in the treasure chest on me. And then there was this beautiful celebration, right? My soul will interpret that as it is a metaphor, right? The gifts don't have to be like, here's a feather for you to write your next book. It might just be an energy, a feeling, an upgrade, right? So if you want to enter to win the free course, which is that next fucking level manifestation adventure that I did, actually, I guess 2 years ago now. It was at the beginning of the pandemic, where I went deeper into some of this with some belief repatterning about creation and manifestation. That'll be available. It's also available for purchase at a discounted price for anyone who wants to join me on my next adventure series. If you were like, I really loved this activation and I would like to receive more personalized activations for my evolution to prepare me for the solstice, the train is departing. The adventure train, the activation train, is departing on April 29th. And I'm going to do 9 sessions on Tuesdays at this time here with the replays available. And we're going to go on a freaking adventure train. Like, this is our opportunity. You know what? Maybe I'll share my screen. I'll share the screen. Oh, not the 29th. Nicole's like, not the 29th, the 26th. Keep thinking it's the 29th. April 26th, it's on Tuesdays. Thanks, Nicole, for keeping me on track. I'm still in soul space here. Can you see that? This is the alchemy of abundance. This is the next level of some of the activations that we did today and also in our last Elemental Prosperity series masterclass. By the way, if you haven't done those, highly recommend going into the guide section and doing the first 3 days of activations. We worked with Gaia and it was magical, and she co-created that entire experience. You're welcome to go in if you want more free activations. If you are ready to go on this portal, this adventure with me, 9 weeks, starting on the 26th of April, leading up until the solstice, that are going to be intuitively guided into our next level of evolution, right? We're going to work with Gaia, with the elemental forces of creation. We're going to go into our hearts. We're going to go into the heart of the earth. We are going to be playing with creation, cosmic inspiration, magic, poetry, light language, grid work. We'll probably be taken to do some work for Gaia, with Gaia, as grid weavers, and I will be the guide. Sometimes when I do this kind of work, we go into all kinds of like cosmic spaces and places. I've been on other planets with people. I've gone into the void of creation. I've supported people in meeting their soul energy and its light, sound, color, and sacred geometric frequencies. This is an adventure to help us remember more of who we really are, be that luminous light that we came here to be, activate the imagination for creation, for intuition, for being able to work. Like I said, your imagination actually is a tool that you can work with etherically. It's how we do energy work, grid work, all of that stuff. And it's not a logical thing. It's not going to like actively have an outcome like, you're an entrepreneur. It's not a certification. It's not a course where you're going to learn how to make 10K months or whatever. We have other courses that do that kind of stuff. What this is for those who are feeling the soul calling to receive these upgrades and activations for their intuition and be more deeply connected to the highest self, to work with the evolutionary alchemy that is possible in spirit. And I can't promise you outcomes, but like you can't do this without being upgraded massively. And when you learn to work with these energies in a deeper way, your entire life will become more magical, more fun. You'll learn how to amplify the intuition, connect with your highest self, know how to bring through codes and activations for yourself, and you're going to get what you require for this next level. So don't decide from the logical space. Like, you gotta do this from the heart space, the soul space. If you're like, yeah, then come on a ride with me. I love playing tour guide. And if you're like, no, that's so cool. This work is not for everybody. The program details are we're going to be going on Tuesdays at 2 Mountain Time. Replays will be just as potent, so you can do these at any time. This isn't as much of an interactive course as it is like guided. I mean, you could call them like shamanic journeys, but I'm not a shaman. I am a multidimensional guide and activator and ascension doula and mystic. And so that's where we're going to play, and grid worker and grid weaver and guide for all of these up levelings. So pricing, the pricing is going to be early bird pricing in effect until April 22nd. You've got 3-4 days to jump in on the early bird pricing, then it goes up to the regular pricing. And yeah, I'm not going to read all of this or anything like that. I was just checking to see. Here, it is an intermediate to mastery level experience, okay? That means we're going like we did here. I'm not going to do a ton of like explaining what we're doing. We're going on rides, but I'll be giving us like warm-ups and activities to get in the body, to receive all of that. But if you're like, what's an intuition? This might not be the course for you unless you got the soul yes and your soul's like, yeah, let's do this. I'm just ready to go for it. Then why not? Why not come aboard? There is going to be a lot of really profoundly activating energy beyond what I can even tell you now. I have been being prepared for this as a guide for a year, starting on the last solstice. I don't fully know what we have in store, and I'm so excited about that because I get to really expand my capacity of trust when I go on these journeys. I might have a general idea of what we're doing, but it is guided by the group. It is co-created, and I know those that are going to come through are going to be the exact people that are supposed to co-create, do this grid work, do this energy magic together. So if that feels like a yes, then come on in. Like I said, early bird pricing is until April 22nd, and then it goes up to the regular pricing. It is going to be divine. If you are interested in that next level manifestation course, you can add that on at a special pricing of $97. It's usually $197. That is a self-paced, amplify your intuition, go beyond manifestation into alchemical co-creation with your highest self, which is like the way to do it in my personal experience and opinion, because you're getting out of your own ego way and into that divine, sacred, cosmic way. And if you want to win that course, do the homework, your own work, where you share a bit about your experience and light ground it by speaking it in. And like I said, I will have the draw for that on April 26th. Now, if you're like, oh, I want to buy it at the special price, and you do buy it, but then you win it, I will refund your money, no problemo. That's just going to be fun for whoever receives it. If you have questions about the program or about this journey, something's coming up, this would be a wonderful time to either type it in, or if you're on the replay, I would be happy to answer questions tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit more about like And then what? Like, what's the point of all this magical imagination stuff? What do you do with it? I will tell you tomorrow. We're going to talk about embodying your soul essence and your soul essence expression and all of that fun stuff, which is going to expand your luminosity and support you in stepping into your next level of evolution. Tomorrow, we are trying out a different time. It'll be 6 p.m. Mountain Time for that essence expression. And as always, the replays are available. And I'm just so grateful that you went on this adventure and this journey with me today. That was so much fun. Like, I've been doing so much business coaching and things like that, which I adore. Like, I love it so much, but this kind of multidimensional magical activation play, I love it. So thank you for being here. I will see you tomorrow, and I can't wait to see who's going to join me on the adventure that begins on April 26th. I'm going to leave the link for you. Actually, it'll be in the group, but I'm feeling like maybe I will also just put it right into the comments here before I go. And sorry, just seeing another comment that Belinda just said, what was the program for $97? Can you just buy that on its own right now? On its own, it's $197. This is all USD, by the way. On its own, it is $197, and it is next level manifestation. The easiest way, Belinda, to find that would be to just go to my website, which is joyevolution.com, and next fucking level manifestation is available there. I've got like the page that explains all of what's in that particular course. I think the two of them would work really beautifully together because one goes deeper into like, how do you create? How do you use your intuition? How do you set intentions that are really aligned with highest self? What is the point of all of this? And this journey that I'm taking people on live is like a magic carpet ride through all of the adventures and the expansions that are going to come through, and they'll walk together hand in hand really beautifully. So enter to win by putting your experience today in the homework that we will also put in the guides. I'll make that post up right away, and let's play again tomorrow. Have a beautiful rest of your night, sweet souls. I'll see you soon.